Good evening, or I guess good morning. It's like quarter after 12 here. I know these days a lot of people are up all hours of the night and have a hard time sleeping, but not me. I'm a early to bed kind of guy these days. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit of a headache, not a bad one, but starting to get one. So we'll see how it goes. I also notice now that battery's at 22%. I think that'll be good for a little while. I can at least get a couple chapters read. These are the next two chapters are quite long, so maybe I'll just do two and get to sleep here. All right, Gizmo, you want to say hi? Gizmo, hey, silly, you want to say hi? No, okay. All right, he likes it when I read, so that's my buddy. He sleeps with me all night, cuddles with me like a baby. Oh, he's getting old though. 14, I guess, is what we figured. He's about 14 now. Need to look for his papers and get it figured out exactly. But, anyways, um, the last time I read chapters 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to pause this. I guess it's a good thing that I double checked before I started reading. I am on I let off on chapter 9, so we're at chapter 10. First Maccabees chapter 10. In the 160th year, Alexander the son of Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, went up and took Ptolemais, for the people had received him, by means whereof he reigned there. Now when King Demetrius heard thereof, he gathered together an exceeding great host, and went forth against him to fight. Moreover, Demetrius sent letters unto Jonathan with loving words, so as he magnified him. For, said he, let us first make peace with him before he join with Alexander against us. Else he will remember all the evils that we have done against him and against his brethren and his people. Wherefore we gave him authority to gather together a host, and to provide weapons that he might aid him in battle. He commanded also that the hostages that were in the tower should be delivered him. Then came Jonathan to Jerusalem, and read the letters in the audience of all the people, and of them that were in the tower, who were sore afraid when they heard that the king had given him authority to gather together a host. Whereupon they of the tower delivered their hostages unto Jonathan, and he delivered them unto their parents. This done, Jonathan settled himself in Jerusalem, and began to build and repair the city. And he commanded the workmen to build the walls in the Mount Sion, and about this with square stones, for fortification, and they did so. Then the strangers that were in the fortresses, which Maccabees had built, fled away, insomuch as every man left his place and went into his own country. Even at Bethsura, certain of those that had forsaken the law and the commandments remained still, for it was their place of refuge. Now when King Alexander had heard what promise Demetrius had sent unto Jonathan, when also it was told of the battles and noble acts which he and his brethren had done, and of the pains that they had endured, he said, shall we find such another man? Now therefore we will make him our friend and confederate. Upon this he wrote a letter and sent it to him according to these words, saying, King Alexander to his brother Jonathan sendeth greeting. We have heard of thee, that thou art a man of great power, and meet to be our friend. Wherefore now this day we ordain thee to be the high priest of thy nation, and to be called the king's friend. And therewithal he sent him a purple robe and a crown of gold, and require thee to take our part and keep friendship with us. So in the 7th month of the 160th year at the Feast of the Tabernacles. Jonathan put on the holy robe and gathered together forces and provided much armor. Whereof, when Demetrius heard, he was very sorry, and said, What have we done that Alexander hath prevented us in making amity with the Jews to strengthen himself? I also will write unto them words of encouragement and promise them dignities and gifts that I may have their aid. He sent unto them therefore to this effect, King Demetrius unto the people of the Jews sendeth greeting. Whereas ye have kept covenants with us and continued in our friendship, not joining yourselves with our enemies, we have heard hereof and are glad. Wherefore now continue ye still to be faithful unto us, and we will recompense you for the things ye do in our behalf, and will grant you many immunities and give you rewards. And now do I free you, and for your sake I release all the Jews from tributes, and from the customs of salt, and from crown taxes, and from that which appertaineth unto me to receive for the third part of the seed, and the half of the fruit of the trees. I release it from this day forth, so that they shall not be taken of the land of Judea, nor of the 3 governments which are added thereunto, out of the country of Samaria and Galilee, from this day forth forevermore. Let Jerusalem also be holy and free, with the borders thereof, both from tents and tributes. And as for the tower which is at Jerusalem, I yield up authority over it, and give the high priest, that he may set in as such men as he shall choose to keep it. Moreover, I freely set at liberty every one of the Jews that were carried captives out of the land of Judea into any part of my kingdom, and I will that all my officers remit the tributes even of their cattle. Furthermore, I will that all the feasts and Sabbaths and new moons and solemn days, and the 3 days before the feasts, and the 3 days after the feast shall be all of immunity and freedom for all the Jews in my realm. Also no man shall have authority to meddle with or to molest any of them in any matter. I will further that there be enrolled among the king's forces about 30,000 men of the Jews, unto whom pay shall be given, as belongeth to all king's forces. And of them shall be placed in the king's strongholds, of whom also some shall be set over the affairs of the kingdom, which are of trust, and I will that their overseers and governors be of themselves, and that they live after their own laws, even as the king hath commanded in the land of Judea. And concerning the 3 governments that are added to Judea from the country of Samaria, let them be joined with Judea, that they may be reckoned to be under one, nor bound to obey other authority than the high priests. As for Ptolemais and the land pertaining thereunto, I give it as a free gift to the sanctuary at Jerusalem for the necessary expenses of the sanctuary. Moreover, I give every year 15,000 shekels of silver out of the king's accounts from the places appertaining. And all the overplus which the officers paid, not in as in former time, from henceforth shall be given toward the works of the temple. And beside this, the 5,000 shekels of silver which they took from the uses of the temple out of the accounts year by year, even those things shall be released, because they appertain to the priests that minister. And whosoever they be that flee unto the temple at Jerusalem, or be within the liberties hereof, being indebted unto the king, or for any other matter, let them be at liberty, and all that they have in my realm. For the building also and repairing of the works of the sanctuary expenses shall be given of the king's accounts. Yea, and for the building of the walls of Jerusalem and the fortifying thereof round about, expenses shall be given out of the king's accounts, as also for the building of the walls in Judea. Now, when Jonathan and the people heard these words, they gave no credit unto them, nor received them, because they remembered the great evil that he had done in Israel, for he had afflicted them very sore. But with Alexander they were well pleased, because he was the first that entreated of true peace with them, and they were confederate with him always. Then gathered King Alexander great forces, and camped over against Demetrius. And after the two kings had joined battle, Demetrius' host fled, but Alexander followed after him, and prevailed against them. And he continued the battle very sore until the sun went down, and that day was Demetrius slain. Afterward Alexander sent ambassadors to Ptolemy, king of Egypt, with a message to this effect: Forasmuch as I come again to my realm, and am set in the throne of my progenitors, and have gotten the dominion, and overthrown Demetrius, and recovered our country. For after I had joined battle with him, both he and his host was discomfited by us, so that we sit in the throne of his kingdom. Now therefore let us make a league of amity together, and give me now thy daughter to wife, and I will be thy son-in-law, and will give both thee and her as according to thy dignity. Then Ptolemy the king gave answer, saying, Happy be the day wherein thou didst return into the land of thy fathers, and sattest in the throne of their kingdom. And now will I do to thee as thou hast written. Meet me therefore at Ptolemais, that we may see one another, for I will marry my daughter to thee according to thy desire. So Ptolemy went out of Egypt with his daughter Cleopatra, and they came unto Ptolemais in the 162nd year, where King Alexander meeting him, he gave unto him his daughter Cleopatra, and celebrated her marriage at Ptolemais, with great glory, as the matter of king is. Now King Alexander had written unto Jonathan that he should come and meet him, who thereupon went honorably to Ptolemais, where he met the two kings, and gave them and their friends silver and gold, and many presents, and found favor in their sight. At that time certain pestilent fellows of Israel, men of a wicked life, assembled themselves against him to accuse him, but the king would not hear them. Yea, more than that, the king commanded to take off his garments, and clothe him in purple, and they did so. And he made him sit by himself, and said unto his princes, Go with him into the midst of the city, and make proclamation, that no man complain against him of any matter, and that no man trouble him for any matter of cause. Now when his accusers saw that he was honored according to the proclamation, and clothed in purple, they fled all away. So the king honored him, and wrote him among his chief friends, and made him a duke and partaker of his dominion. Afterward Jonathan returned to Jerusalem with peace and gladness. Furthermore, in the 165th year came Demetrius, son of Demetrius, out of Crete, into the land of his fathers. Whereof when King Alexander heard tell, he was right sorry, and returned into Antioch. Then Demetrius made Apollonius, the governor of Cilicia, his general, who gathered together a great host, and camped in Jamnia, and sent unto Jonathan the high priest, saying, Thou alone liftest up thyself against us, and I am laughed to scorn for thy sake, and reproached. And why dost thou vaunt thy power against us in the mountains? Now therefore, and if thou trusted in thine own strength, come down to us into the plain field, and there let us try the matter together. For with me is the power of the cities. Ask and learn who I am, and the rest that take our part, and they shall tell thee that thy foot is not able to fight in their own land. Wherefore now thou shalt not be able to abide the horsemen, and so great a power in the plain, where is neither stone nor flint nor place to flee unto. So when Jonathan heard these words of Apollonius, he was moved in his mind, and choosing 10,000 men, he went out of Jerusalem, where Simon his brother met him for to help him. And he pitched his tents against Joppa. But they of Joppa shut him out of the city, because Apollonius had a garrison there. Then Jonathan laid siege unto it, whereupon they of the city let him in for fear. And so Jonathan won Joppa. Whereof when Apollonius heard, he took 3,000 horsemen with a great host of footmen, and went to Azotus as one that journeyed, and therewithal drew him forth into the plain, because he had a great number of horsemen, in whom he put his trust. Then Jonathan followed after him to Azotus, where the armies joined battle. Now Apollonius had left 1,000 horsemen in ambush, and Jonathan knew that there was an ambushment behind him, for they had compassed in his host, and cast darts at the people from morning till evening. But the people stood still as Jonathan had commanded them, and so the enemy's horses were tired. Then brought Simon forth his host, and set them against the footmen, for the horsemen were spent, who were discomfited by him, and fled. The horsemen also, being scattered in the field, fled to Azotus, and being into Beth Dagon, their idols' temple, for safety. But Jonathan set fire on Azotus and the cities round about it, and took their spoils and the temple of Dagon, and them that were fled into it he burnt with fire. Thus there were burned and slain with the sword well nigh 8,000 men. And from thence Jonathan removed his hosts, and camped against Ascalon, where the men of the city came forth, and met him with great pomp. After this returned Jonathan and his host unto Jerusalem, having any spoils. Now when the king Alexander heard these things, he honored Jonathan yet more, and sent him a buckle of gold, as the use is to be given to such as are of the king's blood. He gave him also Acharon and the borders thereof in possession. Okay. First Maccabees, chapter 11. And the king of Egypt gathered together a great host, like the sand that lieth upon the seashore, and many ships, and went about through deceit to get Alexander's kingdom, and join it to his own. Whereupon he took his journey into Spain in peaceable manner, so as they of the cities opened unto him and met him, for King Alexander had commanded them so to do, because he was his brother-in-law. Now, as Ptolemy entered into the cities, he set in every one of them a garrison of soldiers to keep it. And when he came near to Azotus, they showed him the temple of Dagon that was burnt, and Azotus and the suburbs thereof that were destroyed, and the bodies that were cast abroad, and them that he had burnt in the battle, for they had made heaps of them by the way where he should pass. Also they told the king whatsoever Jonathan had done, to the intent he might blame him, but the king held his peace. Then Jonathan met the king with great pomp at Joppa, where they saluted one another and lodged. Afterward, Jonathan, when he had gone with the king to the river called Eleutheris, returned again to Jerusalem. King Ptolemy, therefore, having gotten the dominion of the cities by the sea unto Seleucia upon the seacoast, imagined wicked counsels against Alexander. Whereupon he sent ambassadors unto King Demetrius, saying, Come, let us make a league betwixt us, and I will give thee my daughter, whom Alexander hath, and thou shalt reign in thy father's kingdom. For I repent that I gave my daughter unto him, for he sought to slay me. Thus did he slander him, because he was desirous of his kingdom. Wherefore he took his daughter from him, and gave her to Demetrius, and forsook Alexander, so that their hatred was openly known. Then Ptolemy entered into Antioch, where he set 2 crowns upon his head, the crown of Asia and of Egypt. In the mean season was King Alexander in Cilicia, because those that dwelt in those parts had revolted from him. But when Alexander heard of this, he came to war against him, whereupon King Ptolemy brought forth his host, and met him with a mighty power, and put him to flight. So Alexander fled into Arabia, there to be defended. But King Ptolemy was exalted. For Zabdiel the Arabian took off Alexander's head, and sent it unto Ptolemy. King Ptolemy also died the 3rd day after, and they that were in the strongholds were slain one of another. By this means Demetrius reigned in the 167th year. At the same time Jonathan gathered together them that were in Judea to take the towns, to take the tower that was in Jerusalem, and he made many engines of war against it. Then came ungodly persons, who hated their own people, went unto the king, and told him that Jonathan besieged the tower. Whereof when he heard, he was angry, and immediately removing, he came to Ptolemais, and wrote unto Jonathan that he should not lay siege to the tower, but come and speak with him at Ptolemais in great haste. Nevertheless, Jonathan, when he heard this, commanded to besiege it still, and he chose certain of the elders of Israel and the priests, and put himself in peril, and took silver and gold and raiment and divers presents besides, and went to Ptolemais unto the king, where he found favor in his sight. And though certain ungodly men of the people had made complaints against him, yet the king entreated him as his predecessors had done before, and promoted him in the sight of all his friends, and confirmed him in the high priesthood and in all the honors that he had before, and gave him preeminence among his chief friends. Then Jonathan desired the king that he would make Judea free from tribute, as also the 3 governments with the country of Samaria, and he promised him 300 talents. So the king consented, and wrote letters unto Jonathan of all these things after this manner. King Demetrius unto his brother Jonathan, and unto the nation of the Jews, sendeth greeting. We send you here a copy of the letter which we did write unto our cousin Lasthanus concerning you, that ye might see it. King Demetrius unto his father Lastinus sendeth greeting. We are determined to be good to the people of the Jews, who are our friends, and keep covenants with us, because of their good will toward us. Wherefore we have ratified unto them the borders of Judea, with the 3 governments of Ephraim and Lydda and Ramathaim, that are added unto Judea from the country of Samaria, and all things appertaining unto them, for all such as do sacrifice in Jerusalem, instead of the payments which the king received of them yearly, aforetime, out of the fruits of the earth and of trees. And as for other things that belong unto us, of the tithes and customs pertaining unto us, as also the salt pits and the crown taxes which are due unto us, we discharge them of them all for their relief, and nothing hereof shall be revoked from this time forth forever. Now therefore see that thou make a copy of these things, and let it be delivered unto Jonathan, and set upon the holy mount in a conspicuous place. After this, when King Demetrius saw that the land was quiet before him, and that no resistance was made against him, he sent away all his forces, every one to his own place, except certain bands of strangers, whom he had gathered from the isles of the heathen. Wherefore all the forces of his fathers hated him. Moreover, there was one Tryphon, and had been of Alexander's part afore, who, seeing that all the most murmured against Demetrius, went to Simocu, the Arabian, that brought up Antiochus, the young son of Alexander, and lay sore upon him to deliver him this young Antiochus, that he might reign in his father's stead. He told him therefore all that Demetrius had done, and how his men of war were at enmity with him, and there he remained a very long season. In the meantime Jonathan sent unto King Demetrius that he would cast those of the tower out of Jerusalem, and those also in the fortresses, for they fought against Israel. So Demetrius sent unto Jonathan, saying, I will not only do this for thee and thy people, but I will greatly honor thee and thy nation, if opportunity serve. Now therefore thou shalt do well, if thou send me men to help me, for all my forces are gone from me. Upon this Jonathan sent him 3,000 strong men unto Antioch, and when they came to the king was very glad to their coming. Howbeit that they were of the city gathered themselves together in the midst of the city, to the number of 120,000 men, and would have slain the king. Wherefore the king fled into the court, but they of the city kept the passages of the city, and began to fight. Then the king called to the Jews for help, who came unto him all at once, and dispersing themselves through the city, slew that day in the city to the number of 100,000. Also they set fire on the city, and gat many spoils that day, and delivered the king. So when they of the city saw that the Jews had got the city as they would, their courage was abated. Wherefore they made supplication to the king, and cried, saying, Grant us peace, and let the Jews cease from assaulting us in the city. With that they cast away their weapons, and made peace, and the Jews were honored in the sight of the king, and in the sight of all that were in his realm, and they returned to Jerusalem, having great spoils. So King Demetrius sat on his throne of his kingdom, and the land was quiet before him. Nevertheless he dissembled in all that ever he spake, and estranged himself from Jonathan, neither rewarded he him according to the benefits which he had received of him, but troubled him very sore. After this returned Tryphon, and with him the young child Antiochus, who reigned and was crowned. Then there gathered unto him all the men of war whom Demetrius had put away, and they fought against Demetrius, who turned his back and fled. Moreover, Tryphon took the elephants and won Antioch. At that time young Antiochus wrote unto Jonathan, saying, I confirm thee in the high priesthood, and appoint thee ruler over the 4 governments, and to be one of the king's friends. Upon this he sent him golden vessels to be served in, and gave him leave to drink in gold, and to be clothed in purple, and to wear a golden buckle. His brother Simon also he made captain from the place called the Ladder of Tyrus, unto the borders of Egypt. Then Jonathan went forth and passed through the cities beyond the water, and all the forces of Syria gathered themselves unto him for to help him. And when he came to Ascalon, they of the city met him honorably. from whence he went to Gaza, but they of Gaza shut him out, wherefore he had laid siege unto it, and burned the suburbs thereof with fire, and spoiled them. Afterward, when they of Gaza made supplication unto Jonathan, he made peace with them, and took the sons of their chief men for hostages, and sent them to Jerusalem, and passed through the country unto Damascus. Now when Jonathan heard that Demetrius princes were come to Cades, which is in Galilee, with a great power, purposing to remove him out of the country, he went to meet them, and left Simon his brother in the country. Then Simon encamped against Bethsura, and fought against it a long season, and shut it up. But they desired to have peace with him, which he granted them, and then put them out from hence, and took the city, and set a garrison in it. As for Jonathan and his host, they pitched at the water of Gennesar, from whence betimes in the morning they gat them to the plain of Nazar. And behold, the host of strangers met them in the plain, who, having laid men in ambush for him in the mountains, came themselves over against him. So when they that lay in ambush rose up off their places, and joined battle, all that were of Jonathan's side fled, insomuch as there was not one of them left, except Mattathias, the son of Absalom, and Judas, the son of Calphi, the captains of the host. Then Jonathan rent his clothes, and cast earth upon his head, and prayed. Afterwards, turning again to battle, he put them to flight, and so they ran away. Now when his own men that were fled saw this, they turned again unto him, and with him pursued them to Cades, even unto their own tents, and there they camped. So there were slain of the heathen that day about 3,000 men, but Jonathan returned to Jerusalem. One more chapter and then call it a night. 1 Maccabees chapter 12. Now when Jonathan saw that time served him, he chose certain men, and sent them to Rome, for to confirm and renew the friendship that they had with them. He sent letters also to the Lacedaemonians, whatever that one is, and to other places for the same purpose. So they went unto Rome, and entered unto the Senate, and said, Jonathan the high priest and the people of the Jews send us unto you, to the end ye shall renew the friendship which ye had with them, and league, as in former time. Upon this the Romans gave them letters unto the governors of every place, that they should bring them into the land of Judea peaceably. And this is the copy of the letters which Jonathan wrote to the Lacedaemonians. Jonathan the high priest, and the elders of the nation, and the priests, and the other of the Jews, unto the Lacedaemonians, their brethren, send greeting. There were letters sent in times past unto Onias the high priest from Darius, who reigned then among you, to signify that ye are our brethren, as the copy hereunder written doth specify. At which time Onias entreated the ambassador that was sent honorably, and received the letters, wherein declaration was made of the league and friendship. Therefore we also, albeit we need none of these things, that we have the holy books of Scripture in our hands to comfort us, have nevertheless attempted to send unto you for the renewing of brotherhood and friendship, lest we should become strangers unto you altogether, for there is a long time past since ye sent unto us. We therefore at all times, without ceasing, both in our feast and our convenient days, do remember you in the sacrifices which we offer, and in our prayers, as reason is, and as it becometh us to think upon our brethren. And we are right glad of your honor. As for ourselves, we have had great troubles and wars on every side, forsomuch as the kings that are round about us have fought against us. Howbeit we would not be troublesome unto you, nor to others of our confederates and friends in these wars. For we have help from heaven that succoureth us, so as we are delivered from our enemies, and our enemies are brought under foot. For this cause we chose Numenius, the son of Antiochus, and Antipater, the son of Jason, and sent them unto the Romans to renew the enmity that we had with them and the former league. We commanded them also to go unto you, and to salute and to deliver you our letters concerning the renewing of our brotherhood. Wherefore now we shall do well to give us an answer thereto. And this is the copy of the letters which Oniarus sent. Arius, king of the Lacedaemonians, to Ananias the high priest, greeting. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham. Now therefore, since this is come to our knowledge, ye shall do well to write unto us of your prosperity. We do write back again to you, that your cattle and goods are ours, and ours are yours. We do command therefore our ambassadors to make report unto you on the wise. Now when Jonathan heard that Demebius' princes were come to fight against him with a greater host than afore, he removed from Jerusalem and met them in the land of Amathus, for he had gave them no respite to enter his country. He sent spies also unto their tents, who came again, and told him that they were appointed to come upon them in the night season. Wherefore, so soon as the sun was down, Jonathan commanded his men to watch, and to be in arms, that all that night long they might be ready to fight. Also he sent forth sentinels round about the host. But when the adversaries heard that Jonathan and his men were ready for battle, they feared and trembled in their hearts, and they kindled fires in the camp. Howbeit Jonathan and his company knew it not till the morning, for they saw the lights burning. Then Jonathan pursued after them, but overtook them not, for they were gone over the river Eleutherus. Wherefore Jonathan turned to the Arabians, who were called Zabadeans, and smote them, and took their spoils. And removing thence, he came to Damascus, and so passed through all the country. Simon also went forth, and passed through the country unto Ascalon, and the holds there adjoining, from whence he turned aside to Joppa, and won it. For he had heard that they would deliver the hold unto them that took Demetrius' part, wherefore he set a garrison there to keep it. After this came Jonathan home again, and calling the elders of the people together, he consulted with them about building strongholds in Judea, and making the walls of Jerusalem higher, and raising a great mount between the tower and the city, for to separate it from the city, that so it might be alone, that men might neither sell nor buy in it. Upon this they came together to build up the city, for as much as part of the wall toward the brook on the east side was fallen down, and they repaired that which was called Caphanatha. Simon also set up Adida in Cephala, and made it strong with gates and bars. Now Tryphon went about to get the kingdom of Asia, and to kill Antiochus the king, that he might set the crown upon his own head. Howbeit he was afraid that Jonathan would not suffer him, and that he would fight against him. Wherefore he sought a way how to take Jonathan, that he might kill him. So he removed, and came to Besan. Then Jonathan went out to meet him with 40,000 men chosen for the battle, and came to Besan. Now when Tryphon saw Jonathan came with so great a force, he durst not stretch his hand against him, but received him honorably, and commended him unto all his friends, and gave him gifts, and commanded his men of war to be as obedient unto him as to himself. Unto Jonathan also he said, Why hast thou brought all this people to so great trouble, seeing there is no war betwixt us? Therefore send them now home again, and choose a few men to wait on thee, and come thou with me to Ptolemais, for I will give it thee, and the rest of the strongholds and forces, and all that have any charge. As for me, I will return and depart, for this is the cause of my coming. So Jonathan, believing him, did as he bade him, and sent away his host, who went into the land of Judea. And with himself he retained but 3,000 men, of whom he sent 2,000 into Galilee, and 1,000 went with him. Now as soon as Jonathan entered into Ptolemais, they of Ptolemais shut the gates, and took him, and all them that came with him they slew with the sword. Then sent Tryphon an host of footmen and horsemen into Galilee and into the great plain, to destroy all Jonathan's company. But when they knew that Jonathan and they that were with him were taken and slain, they encouraged one another, and went close together, prepared to fight. They therefore that followed upon them, perceiving that they were ready to fight for their lives, turned back again. Whereupon they all came into the land of Judea peaceably, and they bewailed Jonathan and them that were with him, and they were sore afraid. Wherefore all Israel made great lamentation. Then all the heathen that were round about them sought to destroy them, for said they have no captain, nor any to help them. Now therefore let us make war upon them, and take away their memorial from among men. Alright, I gotta stop there. I'd love to keep reading, but my eyes are wrecked. So, I think there's 4 more chapters of Maccabees, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep, 4 more. So tomorrow, I'll just get those 4 done tomorrow, and then we can start on 2nd Maccabees. Alrighty, thank you for watching.